Think we're live. Okay. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about fourth wave feminism and how it's going to eat itself alive and how we all welcome it in the MGTOW community. Why don't you
Oh yeah.
talk a little bit, Magnus? What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, we were already discussing this a little bit ago when I said about going live with it because, if they're gonna actually push that gender as a social construct bullcrap, I don't think they're quite gonna get what they're after.
No.
Because, you were saying in Turd Flinging Monkeys video, he pretty much said it. Oh, if you walk into a company, oh, well, how many women you got? 100%. How many black people you got? 100%. How many Muslims you got? 100%. And they're all straight white Christian white guys. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You said, oh, well, no, they're all trans. So it's all women.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All of them are trans. Yeah, and then you walk around the company and there's only female bathrooms. You know? It'd be awesome.
Hey, wait a minute. This lady's room has urinals in it. What the hell? Oh, well, that's for when they're not feeling so trans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be hilarious. They just don't see what they're bringing upon themselves by, bringing out this social construct, gender binary bullshit, and by doing that, they're actually fucking themselves, right in their own ass because
Well,
there can't be any.
when I first heard the whole thing about pansexual, demi this, other kin that. When I started hearing all these different things, my first reaction was to read that and go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then as it got explained to me, I was like, "What?"
It's like, what is National Socialism? Like, whatever the fuck Hitler says, you know? It's one thing one day, another thing the next. Doesn't matter, really, what they
Well,
say.
yeah.
Well, that's the
Well,
biggest thing with the feminist community is depending on who they're talking to and when they're talking, feminism means something different to every one of them, and depending on the side of the conversation that they're on, if they're in a room full of like men's rights people and there's only a few feminists, then all of a sudden they start saying like, yeah, you guys got a point, blah blah blah, and as soon as they get around a bunch of feminists, then it changes. So it means whatever it means when they're talking about it.
It's
well,
like, even, yeah, go on, sorry.
no, I was gonna say, I actually have I'm guilty of actually catching a couple of these pansexuals and telling them flat out, "Look, I catch you with your cock in my cookware, and I'm gonna beat you to death with it." But no, yeah,
Um,
go ahead, man.
oh, the other Nazi thing, they used to do that shit where they walk into, communist or socialist meetings and they bang on the tables to shut them up, and like, bang, 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 and shout, so no one can say anything. The Nazis did that, apparently.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Like,
if you
you've
shut
seen
up the
those videos.
opposition.
You've seen those videos with like the feminists in those lecture halls, right?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, if anyone else has a point, and they know they got a point, and they know they're most feminists, even though they might have studied in college and stuff like that, most of them know from what they've heard and what they've heard other like men's rights people say. They already pretty much know that their ideas really don't hold much weight, you know. And they really have nothing to back them up. I mean, if you're sitting there with a feminist and she's telling you about all this stuff, and then you bring up all the studies that show that what she said was wrong, then what is she going to be able to do then? She can't
Well,
really. The only thing she can do is start banging her fist on the desk and talking over you and yelling and calling you names and trying to say that you're a misogynist and you're a woman hater and you're a rape apologist, and they start throwing all this shit out and trying to talk over you because they don't want to give you a way to show like you're actually logical and what they're saying is completely stupid, and
well,
that's the only way they can do.
and anybody who remembers that video, that infamous video of the Warren Farrell talk, that I don't think these people actually wanted to be caught on camera saying this stupid shit, but they were
Most of
anyway.
them don't. If you get
Oh my,
feminists together
no,
that
my my favorite part is that one chick with the shaved head and those fugly ass glasses sitting there saying, "Well, like, why this space to talk about men's issues? Like feminism, for example, offers lots of space." And I'm sitting there like chomping at the bit, wishing I could have like put my nose an inch from hers and said, "You know what? When somebody proves they can't do the fucking job, they get fired, and I hire somebody else."
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that's exactly my feelings on it. If feminism's all about men's issues and equality, well, they've done a shit job.
Yep. They would get fired.
They're fired. I'm getting somebody else to do the fucking
Yep. If
job.
they worked for my company and did the same shit they're doing, they'd have got fired a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Especially if they came to me with manspreading. I'd be like, you're fired right now. And not only do you
Well,
not get any like severance pay, you got to pay me back your last paycheck. You know?
somebody brought up that mansplaining and manspreading bullshit,
Yeah.
and somebody posted that picture of ham spreading where it's this guy just starts slightly moving his legs apart, and you see a click, and then on the other side's this big nasty looking blob of a feminist bitching at him. And I said, so wait a minute. If that's what ham spreading is, then does that mean that the whole fat acceptance movement is ham splaining?
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
I
like
mean,
I
here's the
say,
thing.
Spreading. What a fucking stupid name, though.
yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a gay joke.
Exactly. Exactly. It's
Well,
like they come up with all these really dumb things that the problem that they have is everything that a feminist could get or that they needed to get, especially in the Western world, they got like 40 years ago. You know, they were already done, but they can't let it go. They want to keep pushing it and they want to keep fighting and they want to keep trying to find things to fight over. So they keep bringing up so many dumb things and it seemed logical. It seems logical when you talk to women, like there's this pay gap and there's a gender empathy gap and all these things that they'll bring up, and it sounds logical, and that's the point. But now we're getting to the point now where they've already got a lot of those things, and now we're getting into this mansplaining and microaggressions and really stupid shit, and that's actually showing them to be really stupid. And now a lot of women are starting to see that they're turning into like children. They're just stupid. It's like trying to have a
well,
conversation with a 5-year-old now.
and here's my biggest point of contention with the fact that, because I've listened to a lot of them talk and watched some of their arguments, just like followed it very closely and processed it on my own. What you said is right, though. It sounds logical to them, but if you have any sort of marginal sort of intelligence and actually pay attention, then yeah, it sounds logical on the surface, but when you actually process it, you're like, wait a minute, that's the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard. What the hell?
Well, that's the problem that you'll see with a lot of the feminists. They tend to they'll point out like facts that some other feminist has pointed out to them, or they'll read a book and those facts that person used in the book are what they use, but they never actually go and find any facts for themselves and see if what those people talked about were actually true. So when they come into a conversation and they start pointing out things, it's really easy to show feminists how everything you're saying is bullshit because this fact has been shown to be false, and it's been shown hundreds of times, and here's the studies, here's the papers, and all this stuff, and they don't know about any of that stuff. They just know that one of their feminist friends said that this was the thing, and so that must be the thing, and that's
Well,
basically where they're at.
and they are truly taking a shot in the fucking dark when they use that bullshit line of theirs about, well, it's not my job to educate you. Go educate yourself. And it's like, well, isn't that like the most lazy cop out like ever?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I've never heard anybody that could back their shit up with facts say that.
Well, they don't
Ever.
understand the first rule in an argument is like if you're going to bring up a point, you have to prove it. It's like speaking with religious people. When they make the stance that religion is true and Jesus was a real person and all this stuff, and then you say, "Well, prove it to me," and they say, "I don't have to prove it. I have faith." They don't. That's not an argument. You actually have to. If you're going to make a claim, you have to prove that claim so that other people can believe it. And if you can't prove it, then it doesn't exist. And that's the problem that you have with a lot of these feminists. They have that kind of an argument where they'll come in and they'll throw something stupid out, like, there's a wage gap and blah blah blah, and then you're like, well, prove it. And then they say, well, I read this book from this one woman and she said this and that. Yeah, but where's the facts to back that up? And they don't have any. That's not something that most feminists will even do. They just like to throw shit out there that sounds like it's a problem. Like it sounds like something that's a real problem, but they don't actually have any facts to point to. Most of the time, when like when they talk about the rape culture and they say that rape is a really big problem in colleges in the United States. Well, the FBI brought out a study that I seen not too long ago where they said that 1.3% of the population of women in the United States, which is like 167 million women, only 1.3% of those have been raped. So they're trying to say it's 1 in 5. So they're off by like 110%. But they throw shit out there like that because they think it sounds like something that needs to be done. Like if you say there's a rape culture and like 1 in 5 women are raped, everybody goes like, oh my God, we got to do something about that. But then if you look at the actual facts from the FBI statistics, you see that it's only 1.3% of the population. And don't get me wrong, any rape is bad. Any rape of a woman is bad. Yeah, sure, but it's not one out of 5.
Well, if you expand the definition of rape to include everything from a fart to drunken fondling in the back seat, well, yeah, then maybe 1 in 5 women have been raped.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they're trying to do.
But if you're actually honest about the act of rape, then no, it's like way lower.
Well, if like guys catch on to this fourth wave feminism shit, what would happen if you go into court and some woman says you raped her, and then you say, well, I'm actually a transgender woman? Now all of a sudden all these rape statistics will be swung in the opposite direction, and it'll say women are raping women. So what are they going to do then?
Well, this is one of those situations like I've been in several times with other people after they like wind up face planting on a concrete sidewalk or busting their ass, and I just look at them and say, you really didn't think that through, did you?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I
think that's most of feminism's greatest problem is they don't think this shit through. They just go with what sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, I might mention here for anybody that's watching or anybody that's going to watch this video in the future here that I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but Turd Flinging Monkey actually beat me to it today. He put out a video talking about fourth wave feminism and how they're going to basically kill themselves off by claiming that gender is a social construct, because if that's the facts, then men don't exist, nor do women. So therefore there is no problem in society, because we're all just humans on the planet, and we're not male, we're not female, we're all trans. And if somebody comes to you and tells you you're discriminating against them because you're a white cis male, you can tell them, no, I'm a black transgender Muslim midget.
Well, and the funniest thing about that is like it's almost going to be like the entirety of society, because I don't think they've got enough people to back their play, really.
No.
They're like just a noisy minority that don't have enough people to back this play. I think what's going to happen is society's basically been sitting with their thumb up their ass for the first 3 waves. Fourth wave feminism is going to force them to pull that thumb out and take a good long sniff of it.
Yep. Yeah.
That's where it's going to go down.
Well, when you see some of the shit that third wave feminism done, I can imagine what fourth wave feminism is going to do, because third wave feminism is where we got the microaggressions and all this kind of stupid shit, and we got the man-spreading and mansplaining and the talking over everybody and going into men's rights organizations and stomping their feet and trying to not give any men a place to speak on college campuses and stuff like that. So I can imagine what fourth wave feminism is up with. They're
Well, and they're doing everything they can to just tear down human relations to start with.
yeah,
I mean, that's the one thing that's what I've been busting my ass so hard to try to do, is to help dudes out so that they can get over away from marriage and women and rebuild themselves, and then maybe at some point start repairing the gender divide so that the human race can get on with it. But I'm having to fight against a whole metric shit ton of crazy on that aspect.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like women have a really hard time. Any woman, not even a feminist, just women in general, have a really hard time, like taking like saying that I did something wrong, and like looking back at themselves and saying, yeah, we need to change something with that. We need to stop, doing this. I'm sorry. Or like taking some of the laws that they've created that have actually made it hard to be a man in society and actually take those down and get rid of those. It's really hard for a woman to do that. And what's going to have to happen in that case, Magnus, is that these women are going to have to do the brunt of the problem solving, because they need to really come out and say, we're sorry for doing this to you for the last 40 or 50 years, and we're going to try to help you, and we're going to change some things so that it becomes equal and not levied towards our side, because that's where it is now. The women have all the power in society.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
I should say I'm not expecting any of this to happen within my lifetime.
Yeah.
I, I,
I am. It's in just the last 10 years, it has gone so crazy with the feminism and the rhetoric that's came out and stuff. Like this whole microaggression bullshit. There was a book that was wrote in 2011, and that's where all that shit came from. It wasn't even on the map until then. So you're looking very quickly at this stuff like imploding. It's like full force into a wall right now. And with fourth wave feminism coming on strong, they're just showing themselves to be so stupid, and they're fighting for so many dumbass things that lots of women are turning around and going, what are these fucking girls talking about? And they're going to show themselves to be complete idiots, and they're going to turn their own gender against them.
Hey, Mike, did you catch
What's up,
any of them
guys?
pansexuals? Did you catch any of them pansexuals sticking their dick in your cookware?
Am I what?
Pan.
I said,
Never mind.
huh?
Pansexuals. Get it? Pan. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm all about making retarded jokes at the expense of feminists and social justice warriors. It's
Me
just
too.
a fun thing.
Me too. That's all you can do is laugh at them. That's,
Just reversing all that shit, like all the laws and all that.
yeah.
Not in a million years is that good enough.
No, that's
You
what I'm
don't-
saying.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't
Like-
remember who did the video, Black Sin, but if you ever get a chance to, I don't remember if it was Undoomed or, God, I wish I could remember. It was, it was just a video showing that apologizing to these people is never enough.
Nope.
God, I
Nope.
wish I could
Fuck
remember.
apologizing to them.
Yeah.
Fuck apologize. You know what we used to do to commies? Fuck.
Yeah.
Undoom made a video on it, and I think Thunderfoot did as well.
Oh yeah, I actually haven't gotten a chance to watch Thunderfoot's video yet.
Yeah, I like his video. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thunderfoot's got some cool stuff that he talks about. I like, what he has to say.
There's a really smart guy.
Yeah.
well, yeah, well, I mean, he's a scientist. I mean,
Yeah.
he actually,
Exactly.
Yeah, we couldn't
And-
fire him, so he must be pretty
well,
good.
Thunderfoot's a perfect example because I've watched, like I've been watching like atheist videos and stuff for a long time, just for pure amusement purposes. And then, I noticed that suddenly it went from, everybody in the atheist community loved him to all the prominent members that you might see him at a meetups or, throwing a hug on them and they're talking like old friends. Then suddenly they were so dead set against his ass because he didn't drink the Feminist Plus Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's what happens with a lot of them.
We will turn him to the dark side.
Yeah, I had one of the MGTOWs tell me that shit. Come to the right side, and I'm like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, you have no idea how quick I would break your arms off and beat you to death with them for saying that to my face.
I know they're so hilarious. It's like there's only one way to be MGTOW, and that's our way. It's like Jesus Christ, dude. Come on.
There's many different ways to be MGTOW as there are MGTOW men.
Yeah.
They're really not stopping. I saw the video that the one that I can't remember his name, the black guy did. I think Shi-Nu linked it.
It's everyone's friend. It's Tyler.
Where Tyler, whatever his name is, he criticized Traversible's latest turd.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. We should do a video called Turdversible.
That's what I'm gonna start calling him from now on. Where he literally professes his belief that men are the superior race. I mean, he's sounding like a fucking Nazi youth sympathizer.
Yeah.
But is anybody actually surprised by that?
Yeah.
No.
You can't be surprised from much of what you hear from the MGTOW monks area.
Well, that's just it. I have been saying this for the longest time. They're like, women are evil, women are evil. It's like, no, they're not evil. That's giving them a level of intelligence and prescience that feminists do not possess. The best they are is more like retarded children.
Yeah. They just want.
And not all
That's
women,
just saying it's not deliberate, though.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just like there's nature over nurture kind of thing. They learn how to act the way they do in grade school, and they fight and bicker amongst each other, and they learn how to use that against anyone, not just men, but anyone in work and everything. And that's just kind of the way they've been trained from the time that they're kids. So it's kind of just part of their nature to be that way. And
well, Shi-Nu, that's the tip. What it is they learn how to do that amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So using
exactly.
using that shit against another woman, the other woman knows exactly what kind of kung fu she's using there and can fight back against it. Men aren't taught that shit. That's why they use it against us so fucking much.
Exactly. That's why I keep talking about like the transgenders, that a lot of men eventually are going to realize that like being with a transgender woman is probably the best idea for you, because transgender women typically they like transition when they're in their teens or 20s or something like that, and they didn't actually grow up in that mindset of the women, so they don't have that ideal, they don't have that way of being. And a lot of transgender girls just want to be liked. They don't want to like fuck with you and be like a typical woman, and that's actually what's gonna fuck with them.
They don't have all the legal privileges.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is that what they want?
Yeah, most transgender.
They want to be women. They want all the same privileges. So I respectfully disagree with that. No, it isn't. But whatever.
Yeah, I think that the transgender women have absolute, especially with the way the feminism has been going, they're just riding the coattails of the transgenders, and they actually give us no like laws at all that when they bring things up, because most feminists, about 65% of feminists are actually lesbians, so obviously they only really care about gay marriage and things that have to do with gays. So typically when they go into like Congress and they talk to the UN and they talk to these things, it's always about feminist women issues, and very rarely does it have anything to do with transgenders. And it only does if they push it. If they say like, hey, what about us? Then they'll go, oh, well, we'll put something in this bill about you. But that's
But
why.
I want to take just a moment to bask on the beauty of what just happened there, because Black Sin did the one thing that I keep encouraging people to do. I respectfully disagree on that point. And then it's like, okay, well, tell me where. That's the thing. What the MGTOW monks and feminists can't seem to stand is somebody saying that.
Yeah.
Like, I welcome it, because if I'm not willing to at least reconsider my points and my stance on any subject, that's intellectual stagnation.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I
Well,
want somebody to say, you're wrong, here's why I think you're wrong, and then either I've got to explain my position or I got to go away and think about it.
Yeah. Well, that's how most feminists are. They want you to agree with everything they say. Either you agree with everything I say or you're wrong.
Yeah,
that's,
and
that's the only way they are.
See, I honestly think that Black Sin just pointed out what's going to be the biggest thing that's going to tip the scales in our favor is that we can take disagreement and not blow a fucking Harry over it.
Well, yeah, like if you take 500 MGTOWs and put them in like a auditorium and have them some guys get up on a panel and speak, and then you have MGTOW asking questions or something like that, it'll be civil. Nobody will yell, nobody will scream, nothing like that. And all it takes is putting like two feminists in that room, and it's a completely different dynamic. You're going to have women jumping up saying, that's misogyny, and you guys are all pigs, and you guys are rape apologists. They can't allow a discussion to happen. It's not part of their thing, and that's what happens when you have like 500 feminists in a room. Every one of them thinks something different about feminism, and they all want to fight, and they all want to be heard, and they all want everybody to listen to what I have to say. And typically what they have to say is very little.
Oh, well, you guys kind of missed, I don't know if you guys caught it on Twitter, but for anybody who missed it, so yeah, a couple of people were tweeting about that, what's her name? Elephantitis of the feminism. What's her name? Roxanne Gray.
Never heard of her.
They tweeted, if you ever watch that video where Anita Sarkeesian came right out and said everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything. Well, she was the elephantitis of the feminism that was sitting there in the purple shirt.
Is she the one with the red hair?
No.
That's Chet Banks.
Yeah.
Roxanne
That's my
Gray,
wife.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I like the tsundere.
I hope she sucks dick good.
You guys can look up on Twitter, but she actually had the audacity to tweet about how, some poor schmo at McDonald's asked her, she ordered a Happy Meal. They asked her if she wanted the girl's toy or the boy's toy, and then she has to stand there and explain to them how it's wrong to enforce a gender binary. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this schlub is making $7 an hour to stink like McDonald's when they go home, and you've got the nerve to explain this shit to them when they are like fourth generation don't give a fuck.
They don't give a good goddamn. They're tossing fries and burgers.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking from that person's perspective, like, lady, pick a fucking toy and go home. I don't make enough money to put up with this shit.
Yeah, I'd be like, first, can we explain that you're like a grown woman buying a Happy Meal?
Well, and even if she was buying it even if she was buying it for a niece or a nephew, because I don't think anybody would have the technological ability to have sex with her. But I mean, I'm sitting there like, okay, they have the two different types of toys, because most girls are like, I want the Barbie, and the boys are like, yeah, I'll take the little crappy Transformers toy. That's what it's there for. So there's sort of a binary of a choice. It's not enforcing shit.
Remember when that was like the most important thing in your life?
Yeah.
Oh God, man.
That crappy little plastic toy.
Yeah.
You take home and it'd break in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you were super fucking excited to get that Happy Meal with that cheap little piece of shit toy. I promise you that.
Like
No,
your
it
first
wasn't.
piece of roulette.
Yeah. Most of the time, you didn't even eat the food. Like I had been married and had kids, and I'd sit there and we'd buy them like a Happy Meal, and all they'd do is sit there and play with the toy and wouldn't even eat, and then they'd go jump around in the balls, you know.
That's misogynist.
Yeah.
That's that patriarchy right there, jumping around in the balls.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of misogyny, did you see the hearing with Senator Trey Gowdy and what's her name, Baresi, the DHS girl?
Oh, I missed that.
They're talking about the Second Amendment and how Obama wanted to pass a law where if you're put on the no-fly list, you're not allowed to buy your own firearms. And he fucking steamrolled this girl with questions, man. Couldn't answer them. Couldn't answer any questions that he levied at her. Not about immigrants and visas, and not about. He asked her what other law, what other amendments do we have, other civil rights that we treat that way, where they can just take away your right, not tell you about it until you go and to use that right. You go to buy a firearm, that's the only way you'll find out that you're on the no-fly list. And only then can you take action against it. Can you imagine if they did that with, like, your First Amendment?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like with me, I fly around a lot. I go all over the place over here in Asia. And if you get on a plane, you've already paid like my ticket to come here to Japan was $1,400. You know, so what if I paid $1,400 and I come into the airport? I've moved out of my home. All my shit is on the way to Japan, and then I'm like in the airport waiting for the plane, and I go to check it. I go to check in, and they're like, "Oh, you can't fly. You're on the no-fly list." You know, what the fuck is that? You know.
Yeah, well, I'm probably on the no-fly list just by default, just because I spout such hateful and misogynistic bullshit.
Well, I mean, I know you're joking about it now, but the PC culture that we're living in, if these feminazis have their way, it's very likely that something like that might. I wouldn't doubt it if there were some MGTOW that were on the no-fly list because of things they've said in their videos.
Yeah, but I hate to say this, Mike, but I wasn't actually joking right there. I was making fun of hateful and misogynist.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be the case where they're going to call like MGTOWs and men's right activists women. That's why I'm saying about the fourth wave feminism. I would imagine that what's going to end up happening is they're going to say that we're somehow a terrorist organization because we're talking against women's rights and against women's issues and saying that women don't have a point, and because of that, we're actually a hate group. And
we'll get thrown into the same camp as the constitutionals and the sovereign citizens.
Yeah, yeah. Just because
I just hate the thought how if this shit had been around back when I was actually working in haunted houses, when I was doing charity work, working in haunted houses and scaring people, I think I would have liked it better if it was like now back then, where all I had to do was walk around the corner in front of a woman and go, "I disagree with you, boogie, boogie, boogie."
That'll make them cry now. That's a microaggression.
Yeah.
They'll have to go to their safe space and watch puppy videos.
Back then I had to run around with a damn chainsaw to get people screaming. So.
Yeah.
I'd just laugh.
Yeah, I remember.
No, but that's. I mean, I actually scared the crap out of people, and I couldn't get the fucking chainsaw started. And it was like half the people on the damn thing were screaming. I'm sitting there like running, going, "Ah!" And they're still screaming like I've got the damn thing going. Wah!
There are some of the haunted hayrides where they're not actually allowed to start the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Oh, shit on that. That's the best part is when you get that thing roaring to life.
Well, they do that, but then they'll actually take off the gear or they take off the chain so that it doesn't actually have the saw. It's just the motor running,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
so that they can actually touch you with it, and then you think you're going to get chopped up, but it actually doesn't even have a blade on it. You know, stuff like that.
Oh
Yeah, but
man, imagine that long chainsaw does that.
Yeah,
well, one of
because
my
it's in the
favorite
dark and
memories.
stuff, and then have some kind of a thing that like squirts blood out of the chainsaw so that it looks like you're actually getting cut up, and you're like, oh my god, he cut my arm.
One
That'd
of
be
my one
awesome.
of my one of my favorite memories from a haunted house. I was dressed up in like medieval outfit, had a sword, that was totally blunt and no point. And one of the chainsaw guys actually came running after me. We actually got into a sword and chainsaw fight very briefly. And that was like one of my favorite memories. And now it's like with feminists and social justice warriors, oh, that's a microaggression. That's blah, 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 fucking blah. And it's like, that was one of my favorite and most fun memories ever. And you would take that away from somebody.
Yeah.
I do not understand these people.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that I talk about a lot with like the psychology that they got now in schools and everything. They're trying to make it to where a normal boy, things that boys normally like to do that make them grow up healthy, like playing cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and, I shot you, you're dead, that kind of stuff. They're actually saying that that's aggressive and that's bullying, and they're trying to like make it to where all the boys play really nicely and you can't fight and no talk of death and no guns, and
Not
they're turning boys into big pussies.
not very flattering to women, these feminists. I mean, that particular piece of shit. I mean, really, is it? It's
Yeah.
like they don't want adults in society anymore,
Yeah.
like that can fight.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you seen there was an article about, I guess, I don't know if this was in the U.S. or the U.K., but I read that there's a government agency that's going around monitoring toddlers for possible terrorist suspects.
Oh, Jesus
What?
Christ.
They're trying to profile, people from that age to figure out if they're terrorists.
whatever you do, don't bring an alarm clock.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Clock Boy gets to meet the president. Meanwhile, we're fucking profiling toddlers.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
apparently that little clock sucker moved to Yemen and he's whining and wanting to come back to the United States. And I'm like, no, not after that shit you pulled.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, sorry, some of the shit that I say off the cuff comes off a little funnier than I meant for it to.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean that was just it. They tried to bilk somebody for like what was it, $14 million, and then moved back to Yemen, and now he's whining wanting to come back. No, fuck you. You stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. You wanted to go there so bad. Go ahead and go. Yeah.
I think he's just realizing how bad it actually sucks in a third world hellhole.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you're
I say
raised
that.
in America the whole time and you're sitting around like 7-Elevens and Subways and Walmarts everywhere and shit, and then you go to Yemen and all there is like, you know, markets, streets everywhere where they're selling shit that you wouldn't want to eat, and it smells everywhere and stuff. And then he's like, I want to go back home. You know?
What's that? What's that, clock boy? I can't hear you over all this privilege you gave up to move to that shithole.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. I got nothing against Muslim people. I don't give a fuck if they want to believe their religion, but a lot of the shit they do, I totally disagree with. And the fact that like countries like Sweden are letting them run rampant and do shit that they accuse the average don't give a fuck white guy of doing, and they're letting them get away with it too. Oh,
Why
we
don't
don't want to
they?
be Islamophobic. It's like
Why don't they
no.
give a crap about?
Huh?
Oh, never mind.
Oh no, I just didn't catch what you said.
Why do they only go after white guys?
Well,
Basically,
because
Because
we're
they're the
supposed to
patriarchy.
have all.
because
Yeah, we're
they're
supposed
They're in those universities to destroy the cultures of their own countries,
Yeah.
and all that multiculturalism just helps with that. So they're just going to blame the actual native inhabitants first, obviously, even if it's someone else that's doing it.
Yeah. The funny thing is they
Actually,
say that white men are all privileged and they're all like part of the patriarchy, and all the things they say that men have the abilities to do in colleges and stuff like that. It's actually the Asians. It's not even the whites. The Asians do have the best test scores. They're the most in the STEM fields. They're getting the best grades. You know, they are in like more of the men in colleges that pass and graduate are Asian men. You know, so when they try to say like white men are all the patriarchy and blah blah blah, it's Asian men. It's not white men. It's Chinese
ac-
and Japanese and everything like that.
actually, Shi-Nu, Mike, you've probably seen this Black Santa. I don't know if you have, but there was a guy named Yuri Bezmenov,
Yeah,
and there's
I
Yeah,
know.
I know
videos of him
him.
on YouTube. Where he flat out states categorically exactly the kind of shit we're putting up with, and says that's exactly how they do shit. That's how they destabilize, demoralize,
He
and then
said
eventually destroy society.
that these SJWs and this lot are basically just to destabilize the country, and they'll basically get their heads blown off when communism actually comes into power, because they've been
Oh yeah,
part of it. They know too much. Yeah, I listened to that speech.
Yeah,
oh yeah. I've actually seen two of his videos, two different ones. One where he just talks about it, and the other one where he like is actually a presentation where he's like going through it step by step.
yeah.
And
I'd seen that one too that he did back
it
in
was
the
fucking
'80s.
scary. It
Yeah,
was scary how accurate. I mean, you watch it now, it's scary to see how accurate it is.
yeah,
Watching it back then, you were probably like, I don't know, that sounds a little weird.
yeah. Now we got fourth wave feminism, and they're starting to see like maybe there's something to it. You know?
Yeah, I'd say there's something to it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm hoping is that a lot of the feminists will realize it, you know, or at least females in general, because like I was saying the other day, the study that had came out recently stated that only 10% of the United States population considered themselves feminists. The rest of them didn't really want anything to do with it. So 90% of the population don't consider themselves feminists, even though the laws and all the stuff that they've put together actually affect those women. And, you know, if they get a divorce, well, then they have all these laws set up because that 10% is the one teaching your children. They're all in government. They're all basically in places of power, and they're the ones making all these rules and laws for those other 90% that are just housewives and driving their kids to soccer practice.
Well,
Well,
and the
yeah,
bad thing is they don't stop to realize that, yeah, those laws hurt men, but they're not stopping to realize that it's not in your best interest to sit there and go, oh, that law doesn't affect me because I'm not a man, because sooner or later it's going to,
Yep.
and it's not going to be
yep.
pretty.
Well,
And no
like
one's
their
gonna.
divorce laws are starting to affect them a lot now because there's a lot of women now that are having to pay alimony and palimony and child support to men because of the same way the system was set up. A lot of women are becoming like they're making more money than the men. You know, maybe they're a movie star or something like this, and some guy got married to him and had kids. And because of her lifestyle, the judge gives the kids to him, and then she has to pay him like $5 million and then $100,000 a month and keep him in the lifestyle that he's been accustomed to know.
Yeah,
And
but
because
see,
of that, now they're getting pissed off. Now they're like, wait a minute, that's only supposed to be for women, not for men. It's like, well, you made the law, honey. You got to live with it now.
They'll
yeah,
never
well,
treat them the same though.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is these colleges are like breeding grounds for the feminist movement, and they're also the alumni of our generation
Yeah.
and our next generation, and that's
actually,
going to prove to be a problem too.
Yeah.
actually, if you want to see the funniest part of what Shi-Nu was talking about, I've actually seen a few clips from news shows where they're getting these women on to talk about how horrible alimony is. And I'm sitting there like, wow, they got 3 women on this show to bitch about alimony. I don't see any men on that stage because
Exactly.
paying alimony.
Now people are listening about how bad it is.
That's
Now
not
they're
the
listening.
point, though. They won't be treated the same way in America, though, at least, like where you can just get thrown in jail for no reason, basically.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they said, like, you didn't pay, like, 3 times more than you earn. And you didn't pay it, like, early enough, even though it's within the due date, so you go straight to jail. And by the way, the jail's basically these, slave labor camps, right? I mean, the companies make money off these guys that just work like slaves to do this or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they've I believe I seen on the Young Turks last week. Actually, they were
Young turds, yep.
yeah, they were talking about a judge, I think in Florida or somewhere like that, that he actually overruled a law that they were trying to pass to make debtors prisons. You know, to where like if you got a ticket and you couldn't pay it, they could put you in jail for 10 days or something like that. And they have a lot of states in America that most of the people that are in public jails, which they make money off of you, are actually just it's a debtor's prison, which under the Constitution isn't even supposed to be legal.
Well, it's not illegal, but it happens anyway because criminals rule that place, so who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
And once you've gone to jail for any reason, even if it's something very minute, it's on your record, and you're just a criminal just automatically.
Yeah.
Persona non grata,
Yep.
stamped. Yeah. But I mean, fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh, the fucking alimony shit. I mean, they're never gonna treat women like that, where they just get thrown in jail. I mean, the Emancipation Proclamation was it didn't affect prisons. They could still use slave labor in prisons, so it wasn't actually abolished properly.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, like they use like slaves. I remember hearing about some place in like a woman's prison or something where they're making like Victoria's Secret clothing, and then in most prisons in America, in every state, they have the prisoners are the ones that make the license plates, you know, stuff like that, and they only pay them like 4 cents an hour to do it. You
Just
know?
like Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
slave labor camps,
Yeah,
private companies.
yeah, it's a big thing in America. That's how they love to do.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even as far back as like cartoons from like the early 1900s when cartoons first started. How many times have you ever seen the prison where the prisoners are in the little stripy suit with the ball chained to their leg and they got the pickaxe and they're just breaking rocks?
Yeah, exactly.
Turning big rocks into little rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta take off. I gotta get some sleep here.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's
Nice talking with y'all.
Yeah.
getting about time for me to do that
You
too. Catch you
barely
later.
said anything. Yeah.
That's true.
Dude. See ya.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care. Talk to you later, Mike.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna bail off too because
Cool.
getting about my bedtime and I got to drive this load into California where they've already got new laws banning trucks older than 2007, and you can't haul a trailer in there that doesn't have all the frills and the little trailer skirt and everything. That's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Might end up getting you a fine. They love to fine people in fucking California.
Oh, the best thing is I've actually had a couple other drivers confirm this. We were talking about it earlier, where you're driving along and the California Highway Patrolman will drive on one side of your truck, slow down, cross over, and drive up the other, and there's a truck right in front of you or somewhere near you that's practically falling apart right there on the fucking road. And one driver said, yeah, and I got on the CB, I saw that the trooper had his radio turned to channel 19, which is the typical trucker channel.
Yeah.
He had his radio on 19, volume all the way up, and I said, hey there, California Highway Patrolman, you gonna go talk to that driver over there that's truck's practically falling apart on the highway? He said he saw the guy reach over and turn off his radio. because the driver of the other truck was a foreigner, and well, you know, we don't want to do anything to no foreigners, just the white truck drivers.
Yeah, I remember a deal that happened when I was with uh, when I was with uh, God, I forget the name of the company that I was with now.
Foreigner.
Warner. Yeah, it's been so long since I drove truck. We were
Well,
we had
you told me about it, so I can remember.
we had a case where there was a I think there was 8 Hindu guys driving the truck, and they were all driving on the same driver's license, and they were just taking turns. And the way they found out about it was they went over a scale to weigh, and they had a hole drilled in the floor of the truck, and they were shitting in the floor. So when they went on the scale and went across the scale, one of them had shit, and then when they drove off the scale, there was a pile of shit on the scale. So
Well, that perfectly sums up my feelings on weigh stations and all that. But that's still, you know,
it was awesome because then they pulled them over and they ended up pulling 8 guys out of the truck, and only one guy actually had a driver's license.
wow.
Uh,
Well, and here's my thing about that: the laws are in place for safety. They're not there. They're not there just so you can pick and choose who to fucking pull over. It's
yeah,
supposed to be about roadway safety. Because I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it until everybody gets it. These trucks are gigantic, heavy fucking monstrosities that could get you killed.
yeah,
Very. And I ain't saying that just to be an asshole. I'm saying it because a lot of people don't even pay attention when they're around these damn trucks. And it's like, if you cut a truck off and it's going to take him a long ass way to bring that truck to a full stop, why would you cut like 2 inches in front of his fucking bumper?
yeah, exactly.
And if he hits you, he's not going to stop very quickly.
Yeah. Well, you heard about all them dumbasses that were doing that shit in America, where they were doing the insurance scams, where they'd have like a guy in a car and another guy in a car, and they'd kind of drive up next to you. One guy would get next to your door, and the other guy would get in front of you, and then he would slam on his brakes.
Uh-huh.
And then you either had the choice of hitting that person in front of you, hitting the person that was next to you, or ditching the truck. You know. So, and then when you ended up hitting the car in front of you, then they would sue the company and they'd get millions of dollars and say that they were hurt and all this kind of stuff. And if they were lucky, they wouldn't get killed because they were getting hit by an 80,000-pound truck. You
Yeah,
know?
well, they managed to put the kibosh on that. That happened years ago, but I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember they were telling me about that shit when I was driving back in 2004. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That shit was going on for a while, and they finally I think they finally put a stop to it because either it became unfashionable or like enough people got killed or something because they don't do that shit no more.
Yeah, they probably realized that they weren't going to get much money if they were dead. You know. Yeah.
Can't spend money when you're in the grave, son.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna take off.
All right. I'll see you later,
Like
Magnus.
I said,